Oh, if Donald Trump hates what Judge Merchan did yesterday, where he refused to toss the 34 felony count conviction against him because he found that the immunity decision from the summer by the Supreme Court doesn't apply, he's going to hate what Judge Merchan's going to do next. I'm Michael Popak. We got new reporting that Donald Trump, somebody woke him up and told him what Judge Merchan did yesterday, and he is not happy. And I am. I'm on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. You're here already. Hit the free subscribe button, and let's talk about Donald Trump's reaction to the judge who still holds his liberty in the palm of his hands. This is me demonstrating liberty in the palm of the judge's hands. He still has a decision to make about when to sentence Donald Trump, what to sentence Donald Trump for. So only a madman would attack the judge. Only a madman would attack the judge who has his very liberty in his hands. And that's what Donald Trump has done. Here's the reporting. Donald Trump, somebody woke him up and they told him that he lost one of two motions. There's two motions pending. One has just been decided. And here's the decision. I, Judge Merchan, am not throwing out a 12-person jury, 12-0, who found Donald Trump guilty 34 times, not one time in 34 counts, 34 criminal convictions just because you won the election or because there was an immunity decision from the summer from the United States Supreme Court. And here's the reaction by Donald Trump on his Truth Social. He called Judge Merchan. Let me remind you one more time. This is the guy who's going to control whether Donald Trump is sentenced to jail or not. You be the judge if this is appropriate conduct, and if you would do it if you were staring down the barrel of a prison sentence. Here's what he said about Judge Merchan just today. He called him psychotic, corrupt, right? He said, quote, in a completely illegal, psychotic order, the deeply conflicted, corrupt, biased, and incompetent acting Justice Juan Merchan has completely disrespected the United States Supreme Court and its historic decision on immunity, right? He went on with his broadside to say that the judge, who, by the way, has tried multiple complex cases and is more than 17 years on the bench, is a radical partisan, no evidence of that, accused him of writing, quote, an opinion that is knowingly unlawful, goes against our Constitution, and if allowed to stand would be the end of the presidency as we know it. Okay. He said that, now let's back all that up. First of all, Juan Merchan is considered, and I practice in New York, to be one of the most sober, mature, accomplished jurists that we have. If you had a case that your life depended on it, you'd want to have Judge Merchan as your judge. That's just the way it is in New York. He's an acting judge because he was appointed to that position many years ago and hasn't had a run for re-election. So for the interim, he's acting Supreme Court. And in New York, we call the Supreme Court, that's what we call our trial level court. So he's a trial judge. And again, it comes with tremendous amount of gravitas and respect. Now, he did a deep dive. I did a hot take on it right here on the Legal AF channel, 41 pages. He dove into every aspect of the immunity decision. And he basically taught Donald Trump's lawyers a lesson that they should know better, that the immunity decision really is something that you focus on before there is a prosecution, not after there's a conviction. See, the New York case is unique. We have the conviction. We're just post-conviction pre-sentencing. So for the entire immunity case is, can you prosecute a person who was a president for crimes while he committed them? And then the whole distinction is, well, it depends. Was it his official conduct? Was it his core constitutional conduct? Or was it his private conduct? But you never get there, Judge Merchan wrote, in this case, because we already got the conviction. And the conviction was about a period of time, 99% of it, when Donald Trump wasn't even president. So the whole immunity decision doesn't apply. He also reminded Donald Trump, which of course Donald Trump has conveniently forgotten in his social media posts, that even his own lawyers, even Donald Trump's own lawyers, admitted that they're not using the traditional immunity defense. Donald Trump says, I'm immune, the immunity decision. But his own lawyers told Judge Merchan, because they had to, that we're not taking the position that what Donald Trump did or is alleged to have done or convicted of doing before he was president can be the subject of immunity. All they were arguing, which of course Donald Trump missed on purpose, is a narrower ground that some, not all, some of the evidence, some of the testimony, some of the documents, a very small amount, related to some people that were in the White House after this criminal conspiracy continued. The conspiracy was set before Donald Trump became president, right? The cover up started before the president, before presidency. The pay back some of the money to Michael Cohen after. So some of that testimony, that was their only argument for the Donald Trump side. Some of that testimony dealt with official conduct because Donald Trump, I don't know, was sitting behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office when he held some of these meetings about his private conduct, his private affairs, his private behavior. That's their best argument. And Judge Merchan ripped them a new one and cut them down to size and said, this is private conduct. This is about a private sex act, and the payments around it has nothing to do with the presidency. And even the immunity decision says that. And so your argument that this evidence should not have been presented to the jury to prove unofficial conduct doesn't fly, isn't consistent with the immunity decision. And in any event, even if you were right, it's harmless error at best, meaning it can't be reversed the conviction because of the overwhelming other evidence that the jury obviously relied on, including, testimony from people that worked in Donald Trump's own company, the other co-conspirators like David Pecker of the National Enquirer, Michael Cohen, and the rest. And that's a very well-reasoned 41-page decision, which I believe the bulk of it is going to be upheld by the first appellate court to hear it, which is the appellate division, First Department in Manhattan, and then the Court of Appeals, the highest court in New York. And maybe it skips over to the United States Supreme Court at some point, but not now. But Donald Trump, boy, he is hot and bothered. And he's doing the same thing going against Merchan that he did before. He says he's conflicted and biased. How? Because his adult daughter, has a paycheck, makes a paycheck. Okay. We live in America. Women are allowed to work and vote. I'm sorry, Donald, in your misogynist ways. She works for an organization that raises money for Democrats. What does that have to do with the decision by a grand jury to indict Donald Trump, the decision by the Manhattan DA to prosecute him, and the fact that the judge presided over a jury? He didn't make the ultimate decision. The jury did. What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. Then there's the argument that the judge made, I'm not making this up, a $50 donation to Act Blue for Democratic causes at some point. All right, he was rapped on the knuckles by the Judicial Ethics Board in New York. They said, we'd rather you not do that. Don't make those donations. Okay. How does that show he's biased? What decision can they point to that he made that's based on his bias or animus or undermines the criminal justice system? None. But to call him listen to these phrases. Again, I ask you, this is the ravings of a lunatic, of a madman. Donald Trump's mad as a hatter. To say in his attack that the judge is psychotic and corrupt and biased and conflicted and illegal and unconstitutional, I mean, I assume it's going to roll off the judge's back like water off a duck's back. But I wouldn't say any of these things if I was waiting on Judge Merchan to make a decision about sentencing. Now, where are we with that? There's one more motion. This isn't even the last motion. If this got Donald Trump all hot and bothered, wait till he sees the next one that I'm sure is going to come out in the next few days, probably before Christmas or just before New Year's. And that is the new motion that he allowed Donald Trump's lawyers to file, a motion to dismiss and vacate, throw away the convictions, the 34 counts in the interest of justice. And there they had to satisfy a factor analysis, which they never even attempted to do. And the Manhattan DA reminded the judge that they didn't satisfy any of the tests for showing that justice. They can't just point to the election and the fact that he's president-elect going in and he's going to be taking the oath of office on January 20th. What does that have to do with the criminal conviction? Nothing. If that were the case, every criminal would run for the presidency. Maybe that's what they want. So that motion about whether the judge, just because, should throw away the hard-earned ruling and verdict of 12, not so angry jurors in New York, that's still pending. It's been fully briefed. The judge doesn't want to hear any more argument. I don't think the judge is going to hear oral argument. And we're going to get that ruling. If we got the 41 pages yesterday, wait, next week, sometime soon, I'm going to be back here on Legal AF telling you about the new motion, and that's going to be denied as well. And then the judge is going to have a decision to make about sentencing, because he delayed the sentencing to wait for this full briefing. Now he's making his orders one after another. Now there's no reason to delay the sentencing. He can delay the start of the sentence, but not the actual process of sentencing. That could happen before January 20th. Now, Donald Trump will go crazy. You think these social media posts were crazy? Wait till you see what he does when he gets the next round. So I'm going to continue to follow it right here. Reporting here is Donald Trump lashing out, as we can expect, in his social media post, calling the judge an animal, pathetic, psychotic. I don't know what part of this is demonstrating any kind of psychosis, other than a tremendous belief in the justice system. And we'll continue to follow it right here on the Midas Touch and the Legal AF YouTube channel. Take a minute, hit the banner, hit the subscribe button. Great news, Popak Live Tuesday nights on the Midas Touch Network and on YouTube. Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays on the Midas Touch Network. And I got a new show in the works with Anthony Davis and me called Global AF. You can only guess what the topics are going to be there. So until my next Legal AF or any AF reporting, I'm Michael Popak. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.